G'day, legend. Today we are going to be talking about zooming inside a water housing. Now, on land, this isn't an issue. You've got a zoom barrel here, you zoom it, that's the end of story. Pretty easy, pretty simple, nothing to explain. But when you get it inside a water housing, that's a solid barrel. There's no access to a zoom there. So that's where a device like this comes in. This is the Aquatech zoom gear. Now, for many years, I did not zoom inside my housing. I opted to just use either prime lenses, or if I was using a zoom lens, I'd decide on my zoom focal length before even paddling out. And the reason for this is because Aquatech have had these zoom rings for years, but this was so unreliable. They used to slip off. And I know myself, and I know a lot of other photographers had trouble with this zoom just falling out of place. And so if you say had your 15 to 35 and you zoom to 35 to get a shot and then it slipped off, well, then for the rest of the session you had to shoot at 35. And a lot of the time when I had my 15 to 35, I was shooting through a dome port. 35 mil is not the ideal sort of focal length where you want to be. So it sort of ruined my shoot because I couldn't pull it back to 15. So with this unreliability, I just, for many, many years, decades, in fact, I would choose my focal length before going out and shoot the whole session with it. It's been a few years since Aquatech have updated their zoom gear mechanism, and slowly but surely I am getting back into zooming from the water. It's not like I didn't do it. I did use this from time to time and it did work, and a lot of photographers said they didn't have any troubles with it. But now that they've made this new updated one a couple of years ago, I've definitely been using it. So for many years, the focal length that I chose in my housing for the session stayed there. And while I got away with it most times, there was definitely times where I would have missed photos by not having the zoom. For instance, there's many times at Noosa, the light studio, when I might have been shooting my 50 mil or my 100 mil lens, and a beautiful big rainbow went from one side of the ocean to the other. And if I had my 24-105 or 24-70, I could have pulled it back to 24 and got that whole scene. And vice versa too. If I was shooting at 24 mil and then, the wave was a bit further, breaking a bit further off in the distance, or I wanted to get more of a portrait shot, or someone was jumping off the rocks and I wanted to compress in from the water and get that scene, I was stuck at 24. And so being able to zoom into 70 or 105 can just increase the variation that you can get from the same shoot. So now I'm a big fan, and now that it's reliable, I'm a big fan of using a zoom in the water, and I will so from now on. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to get this zoom gear working onto your lens. Basically, you just loosen this strap. This strap is what keeps it in place now. The old one never used to have a strap, and I think that's why it was slipping up and down. But you've got a little gap there. There's a little notch in the zoom gear, and you line that up with the red dot. Push that on as far as it will go, and you'll just be able to see the red dot, so you'll know how to fit your lens to the camera. And then just give that a really good tighten up. And before putting in a housing, just check that the zoom mechanism does work. Okay, so now the zoom is fully on and we're ready to load it onto the camera. What I like to do with the R5 is actually put the cable release, because it's so close to the zoom mechanism, put it in first. Then I line up that little notch with the red dot, and we've got our camera all loaded. It's a good idea just to check it again that it is zooming, and it is zooming. And now it's time to load into the housing. Okay, when loading into the housing, it's pretty much exactly the same as you've been doing. You've got to always pull this. This is the zoom lever, and we'll show you how that works in a second. But it's always, if that's pushed in, you've got to just make sure that's pulled out. Should do that as a matter of course anyway. Plonk it in, turn it on, get all the cables squared away, make sure that none of those cables are overhanging the O-ring. And let's push our back plate down and see if our zoom is going to in fact work. And we can see now, it's very quick to go from fully wide to fully zoomed in. In this case, it's 24 to 70. can change your perspective really quick and effectively in the water. I've just gotten a new zoom lens for the 24 to 70 2.8 Canon lens, but Aquatech have a lens chart on their website where you can type in pretty much any lens, whether it be Sony, Nikon, Canon, and nearly every lens they've got a zoom gear for. It can definitely improve the type of photos and the variation, especially that you can get from the water in one particular session. So it's these little things that can just up level your water photography. The housing is great and you can get fantastic photos, but it's these little adjustments, these little add-ons that Aquatech have invented, which just make our photography just get that little bit better, that little bit more streamlined, and yeah, basically just get variation from the water and make your photos unique. If you want to learn more about anything in water photography, I'll put the links below. And remember, if you want anything from Aquatech, use my code word TOMW and you'll get the extra 5% off. That's any day of the year, even when they have sales on. So get on it and please comment below. What do you think about zooms in the water? Do you use them? Have you ever had trouble with them? And yeah, like any questions, happy to answer. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.